Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Brooklyn Tea Party meeting for our February meeting. Today we're going to have a special guest speaker, BeBe Diamond. Everyone might remember her mother, Barbara from Harlem, who unfortunately passed away, last year?
Last year.
Last year.
Sorry.
She was a former guest speaker of ours a couple of years back.
Thank you.
And she was a great woman and a great warrior for all that is good and to protect our country against this evil that we're seeing here today. So let's just take a moment of silence to remember Barbara from Harlem. Okay, thank you. God bless her. May she rest in ever eternal peace in the kingdom of heaven. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for our guest speaker, BeBe Diamond.
Thank you, Glenn, and I thank the Brooklyn Tea Party for inviting me. I am honored to have been asked to speak here and to be in the company of so many great patriots. I wasn't given a title to speak about today, but I think it's appropriate to talk about the State of the Union, particularly the state of Black America, if you will, and our relationship with Donald Trump, and why millions of us, and I mean millions of us, are going to vote for Donald Trump. You're asking me, is there any hope for this country? Yes. I say yes. But we have to get involved. I believe from God there's going to be hope. There is hope. I do believe that if we work hard, Donald Trump will be our 47th president. But we cannot take anything for granted. We cannot assume anything. We know, I believe they stole it in 2020. I don't know how anyone else feels. But we have to get involved. But let me take a step back to the Black community where I live. I have an apartment in Harlem. I also live in Newark, New Jersey. So I used to live in the Bronx. So I'm quite familiar with what's going on in urban America. The state of the Black Union is poor, politically, culturally, educationally, and spiritually. I was going to end with that, but I think I need to start with that to dive right in. Why is the state of Black America poor? Not all Black Americans, but too many of us. We're in this culture of defeat, smash and rob, kick innocent Jewish people walking down the street, punch them. Why are we so angry? It's not white people's fault, it's not Jewish people's fault, it's not Asians. It's us. But you have people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, race hustlers, who want to project onto other people our problems. Therefore, we keep going in circles. It never gets solved. One of the things I think that what messed us up as a people is that we began to believe the Democrats. We began to believe their and the leftists particularly, their hatred of this country. Black people were taught, particularly in the 60s, don't fight in America's wars. We shouldn't be patriotic because we were enslaved. Many of us were talking about Christianity as a white man's religion, which is false. Jesus wasn't white, he was from the Middle East. But we believed it, and we accepted it, and we got lost. Then we have policies like the war on poverty, and to a certain extent it was meant to help. But what it did was it led to fatherless homes. A lot of Black people, and I saw it in the 70s and 80s. You'd have one of my neighbors with a 2-year-old daughter and an 18-year-old son by different fathers, because with a 2-year-old daughter, guess what? The welfare kept coming. It kept coming. Let me go back to where I wanted to start. I want this to be an interactive. I want you all to ask me questions. I don't want to just give a speech. And thank you for your card so I know it's being recorded. I want to start off my speech this way. We need to make America great again. And part of making America great again is making the Black community great again. We are toward the end of Black History Month, which I personally do not celebrate. because we are no longer, as black people, overall aiming for excellence. What we're aiming for is diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're aiming for shortcuts. We're owed this, we're owed that. We're aiming for just spouting out racism, oh, white supremacists, this and that, as a boogeyman, instead of doing the hard work of working on our community. We need to, as a people, break free from the Democratic Party. And I would also offer that to my Jewish brothers and sisters. We saw it after October 7th. The pure hatred had nothing to do with territory. The hatred, the anti-Semitism.
Thank you.
And it made me cry. I can't think about it too often because it makes me cry. Break free from the Democratic Party. Not all Democrats are bad, but the leadership. And people like AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Cori Bush, and other Democrats, they're leftists. They are no longer the Democrats. We talk about John F. Kennedy. What about being the Democrats of Bill Clinton? He wasn't great, but at least Bill Clinton wasn't anti-American. Jimmy Carter was a lousy president, but at least me, I don't know. He didn't give me the impression he didn't like this country. Obama broke it for me. My late mother, he mentioned my late mother, Barbara from Harlem. Barbara from Harlem, my late mother. She said Obama hates this country. She studied.
Is it true?
Yes. She studied his record in the Illinois State Senate. She said, BeBe, he hates this country. I said, Mom, that's harsh. She said, BeBe, he's godless. I said, Mom, Barbara from Harlem, that's too harsh. She was right. Everything Obama could do, he wasn't about the black community, and he wasn't supposed to be, but at least help the young black men. He was a plant from the globalists, from the Marxists. Obama was a plant. He should have never been president. And more black people understand that Donald Trump did more for us than Barack H. Obama. And Obama, I'll let you know, he is in a sense guiding Biden, who is suffering, and I feel bad for Biden, from dementia. That's why you have Biden saying something crazy, or Blinken, oh, we want to have a Palestinian state. While they're still hostages, while Hamas is still running around, while Yahya Sinwar is still somewhere in Gaza? No. Break free from the Democratic Party. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One did Barack Obama attend Harvard on scholarship? And if not, who paid his tuition?
That's a great question.
It's a very high tuition.
I do not know. I cannot answer that question.
A community organizer from Chicago usually doesn't have the bucks to pay Harvard tuition.
Beautiful, beautifully said. Barack Obama was a traitor to this country. I literally cannot stand that man or his wife, Michelle.
Yeah.
And if Michelle thinks, and I'll get to you in a minute,
I'm gonna run.
that she's going to run and she's going to get the vote, white liberals or leftists will vote for her. Black women who are fools, oh, thank you, Jesus, but will vote for a man who would kill a baby at 9 months. They'll vote for Michelle Obama. People like me will not. Yes. I'm sorry, let me start with her, then I'll go to you.
Yeah, I read that Obama's application to Harvard, he put himself down as a foreign student. He got scholarships as a foreign student from Kenya.
Oh, okay.
He actually wrote that he was born in Kenya and got a scholarship for being a foreign student. They don't pay anything.
Thank you.
Can we trust him?
No.
Oh, please, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, no, just to say, my sister was saying that Obama wants to change what America looks like, which is true. And I have this nice bus driver, he's black, what a sweet man, loves Trump, and said to me, he goes, the Democrats have bamboozled my people, and said what they would give him, he goes, and they don't do nothing, he goes, Trump has done the most for blacks, which is true.
True.
So, yeah,
I want to make that very, very clear. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Donald J. Trump has done more for black people than any president since Abraham Lincoln. That is literally true. Yes, sir.
There's a movie that somebody, I forget the guy's name, he produced all about Michelle Obama, about how every single black person in Chicago hates her.
Mm.
When she was a kid, she never hung out with black people, she was always hanging out with white people. And then they used her in Chicago, whenever they needed to, let's say, get rid of a bunch of black people in order to make room for development,
Wow.
they would use her to convince the black people that it's good for them. In the meantime, they would be left without homes or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the developer would come in and do what they had to do.
Wow.
But one of the reasons why I heard that what the Democrats' plan is that they're going to wait until the last moment, like even to the convention, and then they're going to switch all of Biden's delegates for
To
Michelle,
Oh my
because
God.
they want to push her in quickly, so we won't be able to find out enough about her to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, I don't think that's gonna work. But I hear you. Thank you for your comments.
And there is another point to Michelle. She did not defend the women that were raped, the Jewish women on
No.
October 7th.
No, right,
And all of them
yes,
are guilty of this.
yes. And I will say this, when the young women, and I believe I was forget, but Boko Haram kidnapped young African girls.
Everybody.
She did a commercial, Where Are Our Girls, right? Michelle Obama. These Jewish women were not just raped, they were tortured.
Yeah.
They were mutilated. I get so angry about October 7th. I grieve over that. And all I can say is destroy Hamas. Destroy Hamas. But in order for our country to reverse the trend, we have to stop voting for Democrats. All Obama saw us as was an ATM machine. He didn't care about us. He didn't care about the average American. Wall Street bankers did well, but we didn't. We suffered. This is a man who's so godless that as soon as they talked about the transgender, yeah, we should have transgender bathrooms, the federal government. He was just godless. Absolutely godless. We as a people, as a nation, and I wrote this down because I think it's so important. We have to, in order to honor our ancestors, both black, white, Jewish, Hispanic, whatever, for God's sake, stop voting for Democrats. Just stop. The local, state, and federal level. The only way I would vote for a Democrat if he's up against a flat-out communist. Please stop voting for Democrats. You brought up Chicago. Very important. What broke this thing with the Democratic Party for black people, I can tell you, are the illegals who are allowed to come in our communities and displace us. There were children in the Roxbury section of Boston, black children who were using a recreational center. They were pushed out of that so they could house illegals. Eric Adams giving debit cards to illegals when you have black Americans, many of whom served this country in the military, who are facing eviction, but illegals get debit cards. He was going to put them in a luxury development until that was shot down because we spoke up. In Chicago, black people are saying we will not vote for Biden. We are sick of it. We put up with a lot of stuff as a black community, but we have to learn, why do we keep voting for Democrats and we get nothing? We don't get better housing, we don't get school choice. They want to defund the police, and our community is at highest risk, unfortunately, because of the root problem, the broken home. You wonder why you have black men and women, young women, who are going into stores and just looting and kicking and fighting people and punching people and shooting people right after the Super Bowl. What happened? What's going on in the black community? There are many decent black people. I live in the inner city. I lived in the Bronx, like I said. I live in Harlem. I have an apartment there. Live in Newark. I see decent black people. However, there's an element, and we've got to be honest. See, if you say it, you've been called a racist. Right. But we've got to be honest. If we're going to fix it, we have a segment of the black community with no father in the home, and they don't believe in God. So what is guiding them? The code of the streets. They're not being taught the 10 Commandments, which are still in effect. They don't have connections to the Father. And in many homes, You have a black mother with 6 children and 5 different fathers. Half of whom don't come and see their children. Half of whom don't provide any support. And you wonder why we're raising, and I hate to say this, we're raising a generation of psychopaths, sociopaths. They see a Jewish couple walking down the street, they have no problem punching you. That's why. They see a woman on the train, or one black man threw an Asian woman down the stairs in the subway in Chinatown. Why? What did this poor woman do to him? Nothing. But instead of dealing with this, right? Instead of black people, wait, where's the mother, where's the father? It's the white man's fault. Because that's where our so-called civil rights leaders, that's what they want us to believe. Every problem we have as black people is due to racism. Well, guess what? I've got news for some people. Racism exists basically all over the world. I got news for some people. We weren't the only people in slavery. What did Joseph say? He told his brothers, what you meant for good, bad, evil, God meant for good. We are here in America for a reason. God brought us here, maybe not the greatest means. I hate slavery. My ancestors were slaves. But it was for a good reason. We got to learn. We were able to express our religion freely. And we are some of the greatest missionaries in the world. Black people, during what I call black excellence, we created gospel music. Who else created gospel music? We created jazz. We created these different forms of art. You had Langston Hughes, Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Garrett Morgan. Black excellence. What happened? Oh, the handouts. Oh, we give you this. We can give you that. Democrats convinced us to believe them and not to believe God. We forgot that it's God over government. That's how our country was founded. That's why the Constitution is only 3 or 4 pages long. Have you noticed that? The Constitution, except for now the first 10 amendments, is very short. What did John Adams say? The Constitution was written for religious and moral people. That's why it's not 1,000 pages long, because we're going to be guided by the 10 commandments. So why do we have to entrap you with all these rules and regulations? You're following the 10 commandments. But when you bring up people who are godless, who don't care, they'll try to water it down. Like Obama said, the Constitution is living and breathing because he wanted to change it. Obama was a wretch as far as I'm concerned. This is what many of us, I think, in the black community and who are being educated by leftists, we don't understand or appreciate how this country was founded. It wasn't founded for us to just get handouts. It was founded for us to be who God meant for us to be, to use our individual talents and gifts. That's why we have capitalism. If you invent something and people buy it, you're a millionaire. It's the marketplace. It's not the government determining this. Let me just read this famous passage from the Declaration of Independence. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights." I always mess it up. "That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." They really need our consent. We're the boss. But the Democratic Party doesn't want you to know that. They particularly don't want black people to know that. We'll give you this, we'll give you that, but they want to control you. So now that black people are leaving, particularly black men, I believe